Hey everyone, Mike Robertson of Robertson Training Systems and Indianapolis Fitness and Sports Training, here to talk to you a little bit today about Assess and Correct. Now, some of you may not be familiar with the product. It's something that Eric Cressy, Bill Hartman, and myself created to help give the end user, such as yourself, the ability to write their own corrective exercise and warm-up routines. So it's a really powerful product and one that we've gotten amazing feedback on. But one question we get on an almost weekly basis is, how does it work? How do I know if this product will work well for me? And it's a great question, very valid. So today I want to kind of show you guys how the process works and how easy it is for you to develop your own customized routines. So everything starts with an assessment. And unfortunately, you guys will be able to see the video, but you can't hear Bill talking. But in this case, the test we've selected is a Thomas test. And this gives us an idea of how short or stiff your hip flexors are. So as you'll see, Bill kind of takes Lance through the process. He explains exactly what you need to do so that you can execute the test at home, at your gym, wherever you want to do it. I would suggest at home so you don't look totally ridiculous. But he takes you step by step through the test so you know exactly what you need to do, and he explains what the results mean. So if your leg, say, kicks out to the side, which Lance's will here in a minute, that tells you something. If your knee straightens out versus staying at a more 90-degree relationship, he'll explain why that happens. But the real power in this is not just explaining why you fail a test, it's explaining how to fix it. But let's say you follow this and you're not exactly sure how to perform the test, you're not exactly sure what the results mean. This is where the e-manual comes in very handy. This is a screen capture of the Thomas test page in the e-manual, and it takes you step by step through the process. It shows you the pictures, so how to set up and perform the test. It explains why the test is important, what kind of results we're going to find from it. It tells you exactly how to do it. So sit on the edge of a table, lie back, grasp your knees, let one knee fall. It's really foolproof, guys. It's so simple to follow along. Then we explain the results. How do you know if you pass the test? Or if you fail the test, how do you know what you need to fix? And this is where, if you fail the test, we provide the exact corrective exercises you should use to improve your test later on. So all in all, again, there's 27 assessments, and then we get into the corrective exercises. So if you want to lengthen your hip flexors, if that's something you know you need to address, we show you a progression of exercises that you can use. And the word progression is very important because everybody that comes into this is a little bit different. Some people might have been high-level athletes, they move extremely well. They can start with a high-level progression, versus people that may be a little bit more remedial or maybe just getting into their own exercise routine. They need something basic. They need to learn the basics of proper movement. So we have this progression, and in this case we've started with a very basic, it's actually our second level progression for hip flexor mobility. But you can see Lance isn't standing up, he's not moving around, so he's pretty stable, and he's really just working on extensibility at his rectus femoris, trying to loosen up this muscle that crosses his hip and his knee. So very cool. And then again, if you take the e-manual and you utilize it, this is great because you can print it off, take it to the gym with you. Again, I'm all for making things as simple as possible. So we've got pictures, we've got descriptions, exactly how to set up, exactly how to perform the exercise, and then something that I think is very important are coaching cues. We've coached these exercises ad nauseum, time and time again. These are the areas that you'll probably try and cheat. So as you're going through the exercise, try and make sure to focus on these coaching points. But one thing, again, it comes down to progression. It's not just doing the same exercises week after week, month after month. As your mobility improves, as your stability improves, as you start to improve the quality of your movement as a whole, you need more challenging exercises. So in this case, we follow that same progression, and here's a little bit more challenging exercise. So the reverse lunge with posterior lateral reach, we're still working on hip flexor length or mobility, and there we go. the idea behind this is we want to move from less challenging exercises to more challenging exercises. There's a lot of different ways we can do that. We can work on challenging your balance more. We can challenge your stability from the ground up and from top down. We can challenge more joints. So before we were just looking at the hip and knee, now we're addressing, ankle stability, foot stability. We're getting that length through the trailing leg hip flexor. He's got to be stable through his core. So it's a lot more challenging exercise overall. So I don't want you guys to get caught up or think that it's just one exercise forever. The real power in this is that you can constantly upgrade and tweak your programming and your corrective exercise routine as you go. So it's a really powerful resource. Again, at the end of every clip, we give you some of the coaching cues you should be following along with. But all in all, I think it's a very powerful product and one that you're going to get a lot of use out of. So finally, people always want to ask, what do I get? What comes with the package? So obviously you get the 2 DVDs. We're pretty crafty guys. The first one is just called Assess. It's all the 27 assessments, step by step, what you need to do to determine your limitations. And then the second DVD, the Correct, covers our 78 corrective exercises and shows you exactly how to perform them and the sequence you should think about integrating them into your program. Because again, if you're not a high-level athlete, you don't want to start with the most advanced progression. You start with something a little bit simpler and work your way up over time. Finally, once you buy the product, you immediately get access to 4 manuals. The first one is the one I was showing you the screen captures from, the Assess and Correct e-manual. Second, we give you some sample warm-ups. So let's say you work with a basketball team or a Little League baseball team, or you're training a bunch of powerlifters. We give you some sample warm-ups that would work in a pinch in a large group setting. So you don't have to necessarily think about it so much on your own. We've given you some examples or specific routines to follow. Third, the grade 8 static stretches. While we don't necessarily prescribe or support a lot of static stretching pre-workout, there absolutely is a time and a place for static stretches. So these are the 8 that we feel probably most people should be incorporating at some time, whether it's first thing in the morning, before they go to bed. At some point in time during the day, it's really helpful to get these static stretches in. And then finally, the self-myofascial release e-manual. So if you're familiar with foam rolling or using a lacrosse ball, I describe it as poor man's massage. But this is one of those things where, let's say you fail the Thomas test and your rectus femoris is stiff. This is something where the self-myofascial release e-manual will explain to you how to foam roll those areas to get it loosened up and to get even better results with your Assess and Correct program. So I hope that's kind of given you guys a little bit of feedback about the program, how it works, and obviously if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to email us at info@robertsontrainingsystems.com. But thanks a ton for your time here today, and I hope you'll pick up a copy of Assess and Correct because I feel it's a great product and something that you're going to use for many, many years to come. Take care and have a great day.